you know me, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. Let me go back last week, Deuteronomy 5, the first commandment and the last commandment. Very critical here. Very critical that you have a compartment within your mind, your heart, is how to handle the Ten Commandments and those like it. And also how you handle the ceremonial law. The first commandment, you shall have no other gods before me. What is the last commandment? You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, spouse, house, field, maidservant, male servant, donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. It is almost exactly like the first commandment. You shall have nothing before your neighbor. In fact, there's one thing left out of that list. The neighbor himself. As if you can covet your neighbor. As if the passion and the love in your heart should be only geared towards one thing. God and the neighbor. I guess that's two. Which we'll see as one. God and the neighbor. If you put something before your neighbor, you've now found what it means to have a false God. If you value something over your neighbor, you have now found what it means to break the first commandment in our new covenant, in our New Testament way of thinking, in the gospel as it's portrayed. You have placed something before God. You see, John 13:34, a new commandment I give to you, to love one another, even as I have loved you. How is that a new commandment? Well, I don't have time to break all this down, but the Old Covenant and the New Covenant, God was found in the Old Covenant in a tabernacle and a temple. He was found amongst the Israelites in brick and stone buildings. And the New Covenant, Jesus says, John 14, I go to prepare a place for you. And now he says this, we will come and make our home with you. That God is no longer found in building, but he's found in hearts. To love God is to love your neighbor. To place something before your neighbor, to covet something other than your neighbor, is now to break the first commandment. You're going to have to go home and challenge my words. And I give you all permission to do that. Go deep. Take every word of mine and test them against the scriptures to see if what I'm saying is true. This isn't just John 14 stuff. We'll encounter this in Paul and his writings. You are the temple of God. That the lawyer who stands up and says, well, what is the greatest commandment? Well, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. But the second is just like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. You see, we go back to Judas's question. What was Judas's question? How will you manifest yourself to us and not to the world? And this is where we go beyond just believing in Jesus, although that is the simplicity of the gospel, to realizing who you are today. Because what is his answer? A lot of commentaries I read thought he just dodged the answer. But the answer is black and white, or red and white, depending on what kind of Bible you have. He says this, Jesus answered him. This is the answer to the question, how will you manifest yourself to us and not the world? He's already said it. He said this. He says it again, if anyone loves me, he will keep my word. He will guard my word. He will protect my word. Therefore, the words that I say will resonate with them because they are being guarded and protected. So when I speak, he will hear. The words of life will make sense to him. If you love me, you will keep my word. And my Father will love him. And we will come to him and make our home with him. But now he answers Judas' other question. Well, how will the world not see you? Whoever does not love me does not keep my words. They make no sense to him. There's no compartment within those of the world that can interpret, make sense, find life in Jesus' words because they do not know the love of God or the love of God themselves.